my mentor, Jane. One of the paths on the journey to a good life is practice self-care. But practicing self-care isn't about taking care of yourself. And another thing, you don't actually practice self-care. You either do it or you don't. So if it's not about yourself and you don't practice, that only leaves care. That's what leads to a good life, to care. On this path, you'll be taking steps that benefit your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. But that won't be the goal. Think of it like your car. You fill it with gas, change the oil, or you get somebody else to do it because you want to reach your destination. Let's say it's the annual family vacation at the beach. You know how I love the beach. Yes, you're taking care of your car, but not for the sake of the car. It's for the sake of spending time with people you love and being at a place that fills you with joy. There's nothing wrong with setting a high bar for your health and wellness. But the question is, for the sake of what? Sure, you love it when others comment on how good you look and ask if you've lost weight or, hey, I see you working out at the gym. But when the compliments stop, the memories of human praise, they don't get you through the Starbucks drive-thru without ordering your favorite grande salted caramel mocha. The same thing goes with our efforts to stop smoking, vaping, drinking, staying up late, playing one more video game, or posting once more on Instagram. Self-care isn't about you, or maybe the better way to say it, it isn't for you. People on the journey to a good life walk to the beat of a different drum. They walk to the beat of their heart, to the desires they treasure, the people they honor, the legacy they yearn to leave behind. Living from your heart may look the same as everyone else. The difference is inside. You see beyond the scale, the number of squats you can do, the degrees you've earned, to see how those habits, those efforts and disciplines help you reach and serve others in your community, your family, your workplace. One of my favorite authors is Parker Palmer, and he was a big influence at a time earlier in life when I had reached a crossroads. I pulled out his short book, Let Your Life Speak, Listening for the Voice of Vocation, recently, and I rediscovered a beautiful truth he put so well. He wrote, "Self-care is never a selfish act. It's simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer others." Self-care is essential for a good life. It involves making conscious, deliberate choices that keep you well and whole. But when you tie your efforts to be a better version of yourself, to a bigger vision for your life, you'll find the motivation to get up, move, learn, risk, and act in those moments when you least want to. So what about you? You've been talking about losing weight. If you were 15, 20 pounds lighter, what would you do with the extra energy? If you got an extra hour of sleep most nights, who would benefit from your better mood or greater focus? What could the family do with the extra money if you stuck to a budget for the rest of the year? Those are just some thought starter questions to help you reframe the value of self-care from something I have to do to feel good about myself to something I need to do so I can fulfill my purpose and create meaning in my life. Now, at the top of the video, I also said you don't practice self-care. You either do it or you don't. And that means you make regular, conscious, small choices to look after yourself and your well-being. Another word for this, one we're familiar with, is to make something a habit. Here's an example. After making myself a nervous wreck a couple of times last week because I was rushing late to appointments, I was really challenged to face my bad habit of not giving myself enough time to get to appointments. What happens is I interrupt a meeting that's already started, or I'm holding people back from starting on time. That's not the impact I want to make, and it doesn't contribute to the kind of results I hope to create. When I show up flustered and stressed, I can't give my best attention to the meeting because I'm too focused on being late, my own stress, and just beating myself up. It dawned on me that maybe that's a habit it's really time in life to tackle. The habit of giving myself enough time to meet my commitments. Now you might be thinking, okay, here it comes. This is going to be about losing weight, stop smoking and drinking, and all the other things I enjoy that I haven't been able to give up. Well, let me say right up front, I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is your life, and you know what you want to do with it. And you know what habits are important to make that will make that happen. My role as your mentor is to guide you, to help point out some possibilities you may not have considered, help you with some accountability, and give you moral support. I also have some ideas that, might help you provide some structure to your life that make those habits easier to fulfill. Here's one habit why don't you just try it for the next 7 days? I know there's a relationship that's important to you. You want to have a good impact in that relationship. So set an alarm on your phone for the same time every day when you're most likely to hear it and pay attention to it. In other words, if you're normally in a meeting at 9 a.m., that's probably not a good time to set the alarm. I have my phone set to go off at 3:33 in the afternoon. When the alarm goes off, shoot a text to someone who matters to you, that relationship that you want to support. You could be texting something like, thinking about you and what you mean to me, or I'm glad you're my friend, or asking them a question about something going on in their day. It doesn't have to be a long text, just something that you can try for, let's say, 7 days. And then drop a comment below about any of the feedback you get and what that experience has been like for you. I'd love to hear from you. Now, in future videos, we'll work on noticing how you operate in the world and discover the habits that support the impacts you want to make and those that detract from it, like my lateness. We're also going to be spending a lot of time learning more about emotions and how to manage our feelings so we achieve our intentions. What's important is you'll understand that the world offers you a lot more choices than you realize on how to live your life. With better self-care habits, your impacts in your work, your family, your love life, and in the world overall. Those impacts will get bigger and more satisfying over time. Well, I'm going to wrap up for now. It would be a huge help to me and my impact in this world if you'd make it a habit to like and share my videos, if you find them helpful. Stay tuned to the final word if you want to hear one more habit that's made the biggest difference to me. The thought of one more thing to do, one more pressure like to be on time, fitting that into my already jammed schedule makes me a nervous wreck. I already know I'm going to forget or change my mind, so who am I kidding? That's where grace comes in. By grace, I mean giving myself room to be human. It means understanding that I won't nail it, but I'm going to try anyway, because there's something that matters to me. There's someone who breaks my heart. I care so much. When I give myself grace, it means I don't let slips turn into slides, and I begin again rather than giving up. There's no point in adding another habit, no matter how beneficial it is, unless I'm willing to stop aiming at perfection and instead allow myself grace. There's no way I could give myself a break, get up the next day, hopeful I didn't blow up my dreams the day before, if I didn't know and accept God's grace. Grace is His willingness to forgive me and still bless me in spite of every one of my mistakes, broken promises, and acts of selfishness. Grace is what saves me from myself and from you. God's grace is too wonderful for words and impossible to explain because there aren't words to describe a love as great as God has for me and for you. What would happen if you stopped aiming for your own perfection and focused on God's goodness instead? How would things change if you knew your slip-ups were just steps up to build your character and prepare you to fulfill your purpose in life? What if you believed that it's God's grace that comforts, encourages, and strengthens you, disciplines, and trains you to be better than you can be on your own? There's one step on the path of practicing self-care that matters more than any of the others combined, and that's taking a step of faith to believe that God had one Son whose death made up for all our weaknesses and all our mistakes. God's gift through His grace, free to us, and all we have to do is believe. And that's the final word.